And we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Writer's Workshop, a writing book club. And I am here. My name is Tamara. Was this my channel? And I'm here with two lovely guests. Would y'all like to introduce yourselves? We can start with CJ.
Not particularly.
Nah.
No, I'm just kidding. My name is CJ Bloyer. I'm a writer of things. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm also a piano instructor, now that you can see it. Proof.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm Amber Kraft. I write paranormal romance, but I found a lot of help with this book, so I'm interested in talking about it.
Yes, that's like I was saying before we started. I always want to make sure that people get something from these books and that they don't feel like they're a used waste of time. So,
I was
especially
surprised. I liked it.
Especially after the one book that was awful,
That
terrible.
was awful.
Yeah. After that, every time I'm like, please, let this be decent.
Please just don't suck. Our bar is very low. All we're asking is that it doesn't suck.
Right? Let's say hi to everyone who is here. I don't know why I started speaking like that, but it's fine. Jeannie was first, after me, of course. Hello. Sarah, hello. Did we launch a new podcast? Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Twin Freaks. It's on the YouTubes. Check it out. It's a good time. Hi, Wendy. Spence, hello. Heather, thanks for stopping by and hitting the like button. I appreciate you. Hi, Rachel. Hello. So, with that being said, in case you don't remember or you're just getting here and you don't know, let me show you the book that we read this month. Wait, there she goes. I forgot I was looking at her profile. Come on, just bring up the book like a good thing. There you go. Mastering Your Mystery. Write, publish, and profit with your mysteries and thrillers by Cheryl Bradshaw. And that is the cute little cover. So that is what we were talking. Isn't it? It's super cute.
Love that. Yeah.
I see you. And it's here to listen. Didn't read the book this month. That's fine. Maybe you'll want it afterwards.
Yeah. Even if you don't read mystery, like I was saying earlier, I found a lot of things helpful.
So this will be interesting because I think I'm the only one on here who writes straight up mystery. But do y'all have like shades of mystery or subplots that are a bit mystery themed in your books?
Well, I think for mine, I have, some problem to solve or something in a little bit of all of them. So, like the book 3 that I'm editing right now has a mystery that gets solved through the series. So it's kind of cool.
That is cool.
So a couple years ago for Nano, I started writing a cozy mystery. While I think I completed Nano that year, I did not actually finish the book. And it's always like, it's now on my to be done list. Actually, I think it's next on my to be done once I get the series that I'm working on right now finished. So, in a couple of years, I can return to it. But
I have a book that you might be interested in. How to Outline a Cozy Mystery by Sarah Rossett.
Oh, that's in my wish list.
I don't even outline, and I found it helpful.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, so you have started on the cozy journey, and you've taken some side streets, but you'll be back.
Yeah, and I personally love mysteries. Like, since I was a little kid. In fact, when I was in piano lessons myself, my younger sister and I took lessons like we both win at the same time, and then one of us would go and the other one would stay in the like living area, lighting area outside of the studio, and then the other one would go in. And during that time, my piano teacher had all these bookshelves, and she had like everything that Agatha Christie had ever written. And that was really my first exposure to mystery. And I fell in love, or at least as far as literature goes. And then growing up, when we got a TV, my mother loved to watch like Matlock and Perry Mason and Murder, She Wrote and all of those kinds of shows. Like that was her jam. So like I have a special place in my heart for mystery. I actually just started reading, a couple of months ago, I started reading Elliot Roosevelt, who is FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt's son, wrote a series of cozy mysteries that star Eleanor Roosevelt. Like she's the sleuth.
That is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They are delightful.
I'll have to check that out. Could you remind me afterwards? Because I want to check one out.
I will.
Rachel, just so that you know, this is Writer's Workshop, where each month we choose a book that is some type of nonfiction thing that's supposed to help us in our writing journey, whether it's to help us get better at writing or marketing or even be healthier as writers in general. So that's what we're doing. And for this month, we've been reading Mastering Your Mystery, How to Write, Publish, Profit, and Promote Your Mystery by Cheryl Bradshaw. And yeah, that's it. So, welcome. With me, mystery, like all the shows that you mentioned, Matlock, Perry Mason, Murder, She Wrote. I grew up watching those, and then also like police procedurals. So like basically anything that had to do with like the court system and stuff. We were watching it together as a family. Oh my gosh, yes. Law and Order. I remember what In the Heat of the Night, Hill Street Blues.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. All that.
Yes.
Well, that's dark fantasy. That's more in Amber's realm.
Yep.
A Korean TV show called Busted about a group of amateur detectives solving mysteries has me hooked. They give you clues and you can solve the mystery alongside them. Plus, it's in Korean. That is so neat. Wendy, my mom had the whole set of Trixie Belden books. I read those. Those. My mom had
Nancy Drew.
Yes.
Love
Nancy Drew. My mom had some Trixie books that were in hardback. I don't even remember what happened to them, but I remember reading maybe 4 of them. Basically Hardy Boys with Girls, and she eventually gave them to me because I kept sneaking in her room to read them. You had good taste.
Yeah, when Nancy Drew came out when I was younger, they had a club you could get into, and so with each book had different kinds of things. And I still remember probably the craziest thing I ever got was how your writing determines your attitude. And so, like, if you slant one way, you're this type of person, that type of person. And
like your handwriting. Okay.
Yeah, like I still remember that, and every time I like get in a hurry and I write a different way, I'm like, wonder what that means. Like,
wonder if this means I'm really actually ticked off today.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like I still remember that stuff from the cozy mysteries of reading her and loving her. So
we all have like a little bit of mystery in our background, so that's fun. This book was broken up into 2 parts. The first part was talking specifically about essentially how to write a mystery, and then the second part was talking about promotion and marketing. And I personally felt that even if the mystery stuff totally didn't help you at all, that the part 2 was very valuable. But of course, I loved reading about how to write mystery better. And I felt like with each chapter I read, there was something new that I got from it, which is like the goal for me. I want to always learn something new.
Right.
Amber, I know that like mystery isn't really your bag, but you said that you've really enjoyed reading this book. Like, what worked for you? Especially, let's start with part 1.
Well, I think, when she's talking about, I don't remember if it was part 1 or part 2, but like, when we were talking last month, the other book, and it was talking about the middle and how hard it is for people, she really kind of straightened it out, I guess you could say, in my mind, where she talks about using it as bridges, and each scene setting up the emotion and let me find it, because she had like a little diagram that I wrote down I thought was really cool. It might have been the other one. I can't find it, of course. I got too many pages of notes.
That's okay.
But yeah, no. But yeah, and definitely, like, even when she talked about the types of killings, because there are, like, in book 2, I have a death of a nymph, and like the type of serial killers or the type of mentality of the killers, that was something I never really thought about. A killer was a killer. They're all kind of crazy, and you never really go down to the types and why, and that was really interesting. Like, I never really got that in depth on my thinking of that. And that's something I really didn't think about mystery would have to go into.
I thought that was interesting too. Initially in that chapter, she's talking about like serial killers, right?
Yeah.
And then from serial killers, she starts talking about murderers in general. And I was like, oh, I love a good true crime story and things like that, And so I was thinking, I was like, okay, serial killers. My stories don't really lend to serial killers, but then she started talking about like different aspects of people being murderers essentially, and like the why of it all, and potential reasons for people like murdering other than, jealousy and money. And I found that to be really helpful as well. What did you think about the murderers? That sounds so weird.
I'll be honest, that to me was really helpful. Just like that story, even though I've kind of set it aside, is still back in the back of my head, percolating and like thinking about it. And so as I was like looking through the types of killers and like, again, that why, thinking about, I think in the book I wrote, there are 3 different killers.
Oh, complicated.
I know, it gets a hot mess. But each one has, even though like the murders all kind of revolve around the same situation, they all have different motives. And that was something I could go through and say, oh, okay, that's like, I know why they, like, specifically why they killed, but helping to categorize it was pretty interesting. But honestly, I spent a lot of time with Sarah, so my exposure to things like serial killers and like murdery things is pretty high. So like a lot of the stuff about killing, I just kind of skimmed through. The part that I found, at least for me, most, at least in the first section, most valuable is the section on subplots, main plots versus subplots. And I always struggle with subplots because often get wrapped up in the subplots, and I'm like, oh, this is a really cool plot. I have to follow it where it goes. And it becomes not a subplot. It becomes like it tries to fight with the main plot.
Right.
And so like some of the things she talks about, like, and this is something she does throughout this book, which I really appreciate. She gives like a description of whatever the thing is that she's talking about. And then she lists kind of a do's and don'ts. That's not how she labels them, but like, what does this look like when it's well done? What does this look like when it's crap? And I really appreciate that. Like, I can read through the paragraph stuff, and that's awesome. But the lists are, for me, those are more valuable because I can go back and I can reference those. So those are like bookmarked or noted. And so that was really helpful.
I thought, talking about the subplots, I thought it was kind of interesting. She said that you don't need a beginning, middle, and end to them. Because in my mind, if I've got any kind of plot, subplot or main plot, it has to have a finish. So that was interesting. I'm going to have to think more on that one.
I liked what she talked about subplots. I also liked what she talked about in terms of cliffhangers. Because I have been struggling with the concept of a cliffhanger from chapter to chapter, with like my regular books, and especially with trying to write stuff for Vella, because Vella, in case anyone is unaware, Vella is Kindle's new thing where you're getting episodes, depending on how often the author wants to update. So it can be, daily, a few times a week, every other week, once a month, whatever. But you're getting episodes at a periodic time, and you can pay for these episodes with tokens. And a way to get people to come back for the next episode is to have a cliffhanger. But in my mind, a cliffhanger is always like something big has happened, right? It's a dramatic thing. There's a gunshot, blood dripping from somewhere.
Who shot JD?
Right. Like, it's like a big thing. But when she talked about it and broke it down, no, it doesn't have to be like this huge thing. It has to be something that interests the reader, draws them in, and they want to know what happens next.
It takes you into the next chapter.
Yeah, it takes you into the next chapter. And then whatever that thing is, you resolve it in the beginning of that next chapter and then go on. I was like, oh. And then again, she gave examples. And it's just like, it broke it down for me in a way that I don't feel I'd gotten before. And it made it make sense, which is really helpful. Because I'm trying to do that. So thanks, Cheryl.
And one thing I kind of learned from reading it, not just liked, but learned, is like, and I guess it's been a while since I read any cozy mystery other than yours, Tamara, but like, I didn't think about the victim has to be like, she says the victim should be worth saving, have a sense of humanity. Like, I never really thought about the victim. It's usually a cozy starts with somebody died and you're doing the mystery. So I guess I never really thought about how you have to write the victim in to be likable too, or despised, either way. Like, to me, it's just always been the victim's there, now we got to solve it.
Right.
So I like that she kind of gave you a vision of what the victim should be.
Yeah, that they should be sympathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or absolutely hate it. It's like there has to be some type of emotion invested. I didn't really need this part, but I thought this was good just to cover music and lyrics copyright.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was cool because I know that was a mistake that I made with my first book. I put some lyrics in, and my editor was like, no, you cannot put lyrics in. You do not own this. Bad. And I was like, but who will find? No. So that was interesting. It was like, good call.
Yeah.
Hello, Aphrodite.
Also didn't know, and I guess I never really thought about it because you're just reading the book, but the killing of the victim should happen within the first 3 chapters.
I think that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Because at least when it's like the like a mystery, because otherwise it kind of starts to drag on and the reader is waiting for that, and you have to have enough time to do all of the different clues and the red herring, and
Yeah.
it could be a lot to set up.
Yeah, I guess I just always thought like the victim is either already dead or the first chapter you find out he's dead or something. Like, I honestly didn't know it was like a thing for the first 3 chapters. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that. Let me see, what was something that, of course, I was interested in, like the murder weapons and different types of things that people use to kill other people,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just interesting to me.
When she was talking about forensics and she's talking about making sure you have your facts straight and stuff, I'm like, oh, so in case I ever do decide to write one, I've been watching SVU for 19 years. Like, I'm good. Got my facts. We're good.
Make sure to
I
fact
love
check.
that she watched the forensic files. Like that was where she got a lot of her research for that. Like that just makes me so happy.
Yeah. I think I might
because
be
I feel like
wrong.
I feel like there's okay. So I think sometimes as writers we think that research has to be like getting into the books or interviewing professionals or whatever. But like there's a lot of information out there that doesn't require us to necessarily like pretend like we're in school. So you could binge watch forensics files, take some notes, and get some information that you could like follow up on if you have more questions. But like, I love that idea.
Yeah, I think that, okay, there's times where I'm like, I'm doing research. No, I'm binge reading a crap ton of cozy mysteries. It's not really research. But there is times when you'll watch a documentary or something and they'll be like, oh, this is actual valuable information that I could use somewhere. I actually accidentally did research, or even on purpose, but a lot of times when it's stuff like that, for me, it's absolutely an accident. It's a happy accident, but it's an accident.
Right.
I liked how she incorporated her reader notes. Like she does polls with her readers, whether it's in her readers group or in her newsletter, and she compiles it and like uses that information to move forward. And she also would give us like 10 or 12 quotes from readers to go along with the points. Like one of the chapters was about cursing in fiction. Yes. And that's it. I guess, okay, so I write cozy mysteries, which are, think of like Murder, She Wrote. And when you think of Murder, She Wrote, there's not sex on screen. There's no swearing. The protagonist is a female, and she's not like a professional in the detective world, right? And that's kind of like the backbone of a cozy. So for me, I was like, all right, cozies, no swearing. But then as she was talking about it, there's all these different subgenres within mystery, and some of them lend more to swearing than others, or at least the reader's expectations will adjust with that. So like it makes more sense in a thriller, you know, or like potentially in a suspense. And it was interesting to see, like, she said that she remembers the one review where she had in her first book had dropped one F-bomb, and there was a reader review who was like, why? I don't know why she had to swear so much. And she's like, lady, it's just one. And I felt I totally related to that. I was like, yes, I can absolutely feel that. And it made her feel more of like a normal human rather than like this best-selling author with all these accolades. Like,
right.
even even after you get to a certain level of success, there's still that one review that you're going to remember and be like, he's so petty.
Yeah. Well, and I never really thought about it like with cozies. I know you have, the personal life, and you have the mystery of figuring out who done it, but I've seen it done so well mixing the two that, she says in mystery novels there are always two things in play: the investigation and the sleuth's personal life. And I never really thought of them as separate. I thought you really couldn't have, one without the other, but she thinks of them separately and then, thinks of them and intertwines them, versus I always thought, okay, if the person dies, then the person that's, investigating it has to know them, has to be on some personal level with them. But it really, no, I mean, you just kind of have to know them or know of them type thing.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't even necessarily. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say sometimes it could be something like my uncle has been accused of this murder and I want to save him, or this murder happened within my vicinity. Now I feel invested. So it's not necessarily that I know that person, but because I was there, I feel responsible in some way.
Right.
Like, so there could be other little lead-ins that link someone into getting involved in the murder investigation if you're already in that kind of mindset. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to be trying to save you, Uncle. I love you. And we could pray together.
But you're on your own.
On it, but,
Well, I think that may just come from me not reading them that much. Like, I've read a few when I was younger and everything. I used to have all the Nancy Drew series, but as far as like bigger novels, I've only, I think I can count one or two. So, her doing like separating certain things and then thinking about them in a different way kind of made me want to think about my series in a different way. So it was so really helpful to see that.
That's the kind
well,
of
and I like the idea. I like the idea that, like, when I think about the mystery again, I keep going back to the mystery that I set aside. While the protagonist's personal life is the reason she is in a position to like encounter and investigate what's going on, they are very much separate. And I think she does a good job of, when she explains that they're two separate things, she does a good job of talking about how they intertwine, which I think is why she separates them. Because, does that make sense? Because while you were talking, I was thinking about like Columbo, which was another of my mother's favorite. Like, yeah, but his personal life wasn't as like what we would think of as his personal life. Like, you never meet his wife, but he talks about her all the time.
That's true.
Like, you never really see him at home, or I think there's a couple of episodes where they're like, he has a personal connection to either the victim or the killer, but generally speaking, his personal life really is about the part of him is about his individual character relating to both the victims and their killers.
Wow, I haven't watched Columbo in so long. I will have to take your word for it.
Well, like, it's one of the things that, like, and this is just because I'm a nerd, but one of the things that and this is one of the things he was famous for, just one more question. Like, that was like his take. Just one more thing.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. The just more thing was his like tagline. And the idea that he opens himself personally, particularly to the killer, to the like the bad guy, gives you some really interesting insight into his personal. And there is some, I think there are some places where like his professional life gets involved, like, you know, as a detective, as a police officer, you know, there's a list of things that he has to. I think that there's still this, there has to be a separation between the investigator as a person, as a character, and the investigation itself.
Right.
That makes sense?
It does make sense.
And I think she does that really well.
Thanks, Data. Data gave us super sticker. It is a little fox. It has a little dancing butt.
It's adorable.
It's very cute. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about the second half of the book. When I was looking through there was stuff that I wasn't interested in reading, like the to agent or not to agent. That is the question. Though, again, love the title of the chapter, but I'm not really interested in seeking an agent. Though it was interesting, part of her writing story, her history, is that she wanted to be traditionally published, decided to go with the self-publishing route in like 2012, but because of the popularity of her series, then she was approached by agents and was able to traditionally publish as well as self-published. So I thought that was interesting.
Right.
So I'm not sure how viable that is today because the market is a bit more saturated.
Right. Well,
she does talk about that though.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, because of it, she created, you know, her own company because she's like, well, if they're wanting me, I can do this. So.
And she does talk about how, and this was one of the things, honest, every time I hear or read an indie author who says this, I kick myself. The fantasy series I'm currently working on, I've been working on for a long time. And like 10 years ago, it would have been 2010, 2011, right as Amazon was really starting to ramp up the indie market, a friend of mine was like, you should do this. You should get your book done and you could publish it. We talked through a lot of the things that I hear these authors saying they did, and I didn't do it. Like,
yeah.
But I also think that one of the things she says, and I was sure that I had highlighted it, and now I can't find it. But one of the things she talked about, or maybe she doesn't say it directly, but she talks about it throughout the second section, is adapting as you need. Like, reading Amazon marketing and all of those is great. But keep in mind, in 10 years, the market will be different. In 2 years, the market will be different. So one of the things I think she does a really good job of throughout, as she talks, especially that first section where she's talking about to agent. The second part, the next part. See, I got to go find it now. Chapter 23, where she talks about wide versus KDP select. She gives you multiple options and says, take a look at everything. Here's what I've done. Here's what I've heard other people do. Take what's good for you. And I appreciate that.
Right. That's one of the reasons just with our book selection, especially when it comes to marketing, in promotion, that those books, we try to find books that are copyrighted like a year out, at like no further than a year out, because we've been burned.
Yeah.
This was from learning experience.
Right.
But this came out in March of this year. So essentially hot off the presses.
Well, and she even
Right.
says, if things change, she'll update it if she can. So that lets you know that it will still be relevant. So
hopefully.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just like the second part. I mean, the first part she was really good about telling you here's how it's well done, here's how it's bad, and I feel like CJ was saying, she kept that kind of even through the second part, because she's like, here's what I did, here's what I've heard, and here's some resources to help you instead of examples. She turned that into resources. Like the book covers, she gave a list of like 10 to 12 for the books you should read. If she thought one would help, she'd sprinkle it into the chapter. And then, like, the last chapter has half the books we've already read. Like I was saying earlier, like, we're on a good pace.
Yeah, I feel very good about that.
So she was really good. There were websites she gave on when she was talking about newsletters and street teams, and she told you how to do it. And then for newsletters, she gave like how she sets up hers so she can separate it between those who might just be there for the free stuff and who actually are consistently with her. So I really like that she helped that. I found all of that really helpful, because that's the kind of stuff I either need help on, or I know I need to get better at doing.
Right. I really appreciate that she had like articles listed as well. So if anyone's thinking about purchasing this, I strongly suggest getting the ebook, because there's a lot of clickable links that will lead you to articles and other books and stuff like that of course in a paperback you're not going to get that. And like Amber said, she's planning on updating it later. So
yeah,
I think that the ebook is the way to go. When she talked about street teams, I was really happy with that, because that's somewhere that I'm weak at, and I could use the extra help. So that was good for me. Talking about back matter and talking about blurbs, because oh man, y'all, I think at the end, in the back of Wiped Out, it still has that the second book is supposed to have launched last year. Oh no, I need to update that. Oh
yeah.
no. Oh
yeah.
No.
And it's funny, I see people like Travis Tavern Talks that I watch on Twitch, and like every few months I'll see him going back and working on that kind of stuff, and then to see it kind of reiterated here, it's like, yeah, I should probably do that. I can go back and add that.
Go ahead and make a little note right here that that's something I need to do this week. Jace, hello. I see that you stopped in and I did not greet you immediately. Hi. Glad that you're here. What was another thing? The names of these chapters, y'all, are hilarious. Big Pimpin' Facebook ads. I mean, come on. It's so ridiculous.
All systems go, your publishing checklist.
I like it, because she's giving good information, but she's also has like a lighthearted hand with it. So it doesn't make you feel like you're stuck in a desk in school. Update back matter.
Well, and I think like when she's talking about like, and I never really thought about it, but I guess like because we're on YouTube and people see us, they share our lives and stuff, you never really think about those new people coming to you. And she's talking about in the newsletters how she talks about like the first one is about her personal writing background, and then the second newsletter is about her life background. Like she separates it before she ever even asks you to buy one of her books. She wants to get to know you, to know her on different levels. And I feel like we're always just like, oh yeah, go watch my YouTube, go check out my Twitter. and we're used to people knowing about us already. So those introductions to ourselves is a really nice touch.
I agree. I forget that, you know, we occupy a very tiny space in the internet.
Yeah.
And we're always meeting new people. But to be fair, I do that in real life too. I'm like, you know each other because I know both of you. So it's
right,
fine.
right.
Well, it's just kind of funny because I think, Tamara, you and I have been on this before it was AuthorTube, so like we forget how long we've been on here. We expect everybody should know us, and yet we're still growing our channel and our platform and our brand, and it's like, oh yeah, everybody doesn't know me. I need to do that.
I need to do that. I need to remind folks that this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yes, the examples along with the here's what worked for me, here's what hasn't, here's more resources to figure out for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to mention it again before we wrap up. If anyone has any romance book recs, share with us in the comments, because we're going to do romance next week.
Romance craft books.
Oh yeah, romance craft books. You are correct. If you have any romance books in general you'd like me to read, tweet them to me at Pen Paper Bud. I do love romance.
Well, there's always the Romancing the Beat that just about everybody's read. So.
That's true. I do have that, and I haven't read it. So. It's somewhere.
I don't think I've read that one either.
I pulled it out. I've yet to read it. That's like the next thing I'm reading. So, I don't know. Because I was like, it's shorter than Save the Cat. So I'll read that first and put that in with these two books that I'm planning on sorting everything out.
I kind of want to do Save the Cat writes a novel at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that she talked about Amazon categories and keywords. That's one of those things that, of course, I know what they are, but I didn't really think about it in like terms of, okay, have one thing that's like mystery, but have something else and try to find something else that's not even related to mystery, so that people can find you through a different route. And so I felt that to be very helpful, because one of the big ways that people will find you is through your keywords and the categories that you're under.
Yeah.
Like those are incredibly important.
Well, and just like some of the things she has, like award submissions for, there's a lot of indie awards that I had never heard of. There's some that are just for mystery and thriller, but I mean, there's just as many that are for just indie readers and writers. So, I mean, I feel like just for the second part alone, even if you don't write mystery, there was enough hopeful things in here to get it. Like that alone was invaluable to me.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I think that the second part has just so much information, whether it's about looking at your covers, looking at your blurb. Those are your two main ways to market your book to your reader. Because don't judge a book by its cover is a lie, because that's what people do. They immediately judge a book by its cover. So if your cover looks like it was made with Microsoft Paint, people are going to assume that what's inside of there as of quality. And I'm just saying, like
clip art, Microsoft Paint and clip art.
People are gonna be like, this is suspect. They didn't take the time to try to make it look like something amazing, and I feel like whenever I'm talking to someone, and granted, I am not some like hugely successful person, but I feel like I have learned a lot. I'm in this one group for people who write spicy things, and this woman was very, very frustrated with where her sales are right now. And she was talking about, I've done these Facebook ads, I've done these Amazon ads, I've done book club, I've done this, that, and this, and I can't move any books. What's going on? And I was like, oh, well, do you want me to look at your stuff? So she gave me her website, and I looked at her covers, and I was like, oh.
That's your problem.
I was like, what's your genre? Because if these are supposed to be spicy, they're giving me no spice. And if they're supposed to be sweet romance, there's like a problem because none of the characters that are on the covers, none of them had facial features. So it was like a white space where their face would be, which that gave me more like murder than romance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what people look for, they'll look for like that facial thing, that recognition. It's because you could have romance stuff that doesn't have people on it, but it tends to be if there's people on the cover, you want to see their face. Mm-hmm. So it was like you couldn't really tell what was happening, but the colors were very bright. So I'm like, is this like a weird ass psychological thriller that, do you know what I mean? That like looks like all happy and gay, and then you get into it and there's like murder on all the pages.
Yes.
But so with her series, like her series, she said that it started with sweet romance and then it got hotter as it escalated. And I was like, well, this doesn't show that. And that's probably a big reason that you're not bringing in the people that you want, because when they look at this cover, they're not seeing what they typically pick up.
Yeah, they don't know what they're going to be reading, so they just pass on it.
Yeah, so covers are so important, and blurbs are so important too, which I am definitely not the best at writing blurbs. I write something and I'm immediately like, hey people, read this. How can I make this more gooder?
I just like that, everything she talks about in part 2, she shows you how she uses it in her checklist. And I gotta say, she's got probably one of the more in-depth examples of how she does and uses all of this stuff, up to 3 months before she publishes a book. So I wrote it all down. Like, I'm gonna make sure I learn all this stuff and expand upon it, and then use that checklist to make my own. So.
Yeah, I feel like it went from 3 to 6 months out to like 2 or 3 weeks after it's launched.
Yeah.
So it was like a whole span of time, which I was like, ooh, wow. Oh, what, we could plan 6 months out? Oh, for real? Oh.
That's a thing?
Yeah. That's what people
do. People actually
Oh. That's how you get success.
I mean, they don't cram it all in one week.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff simple, like creating a Facebook banner, showing the book banner, the pre-links, and doing the reveal and the mailing list, and things we think about, but we don't really know exactly when to do it and what to tell people when we do it. And she even has the street team stuff here, and arcs and betas, and it's definitely something I'm going to write down and print out and use for myself for book 3. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, can I just say that Spence is yes.
Faces Without Features has a big murder robot vibes, right?
Big robot vibes. Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, Wendy, don't make your book cover an obvious Canva copy. Oh, that's shade.
Yeah.
Not on me though, because
there was some. That was some shade there.
That's absolutely some shade.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's beautiful, and we all know you're right.
Yeah.
Whoa, my phone's ringing. That never happens. I was like, what is that sound? I'm not answering that. Okay. Ooh, that is annoying too.
Yeah, basically between last month's book and this month's book, like in chapter 2, she's talking about if you're a pantser, notebooks for notes for each book, a notebook for notes for each book character, put their info, timeline, what's added on each writing, and random thoughts while writing for later in the book or series. Like, between reading that and then the book before, I'm like, okay, 4 books, 4 notebooks, got it. Went and bought them, time to do homework. So, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, do it as you go, but sometimes you gotta go retroactive and do it afterwards.
Guess it's a good thing only 2 are published.
I'll be honest, I don't. I've actually sort of moved away from. Am I there?
Kinda.
Hello.
There
okay. Well, we'll try it. I moved away from using paper notebooks. This right here is why. Because I moved, and all of that is old journals and notebooks.
Yeah.
And I don't like. So I've been using Scrivener as my note taking, and I print off my notes and I keep them in a folder. But then when I update, I shred whatever notes I had before.
Yeah. And see, I tried doing that, and I
did that all come through?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've tried doing it. I've got 3 Excel spreadsheets, 1 for each book, but I just don't think to do that, whereas I always have a notebook right here at my desk. So I should probably keep it on the computer, but I just, like, when we moved,
I'll be honest,
I took those notebooks.
Okay. Yeah. And I will say I use Microsoft Keep on my phone when I'm out and about, or if I'm not able, I write on my Alpha Smart outside. It doesn't have internet connection. So if I need to make some notes, I have a file on Microsoft Keep, for whatever, and then I can copy and paste it over to Scrivener. So yeah, that's just me though.
I keep notes in a Microsoft Word, and I remember to update it because it'll show the recent file, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to put some stuff in there. So it's not exactly a very clean and precise way of doing things, but it's chaotic neutral here. Spence uses legal pads most of the time.
Yeah.
Wendy started using notation for story notes. And Sio uses her Samsung phone, then shared via Google Drive.
Yeah.
Voice notes.
I do like voice notes. Oh, it just makes everything better.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So let's talk about our final thoughts. Do we recommend this book?
Yes.
We talked a lot about the positives. Did you find any negatives? Like something that you didn't like about the book?
I don't know about negatives, but I'll be honest, a lot of the information that was in this book is available from other sources. There was a lot of it that I felt was kind of like, oh yeah, I've read this before. And there were some small things, like she brings some stuff to the fore, and some of her styling stuff makes it worth it. If I wasn't, I'll be honest, if we weren't reading this for Writer's Workshop, I don't know that I would find it valuable, because I think there are other mystery books out there, like How to Write a Mystery, but that's probably because I'm gearing towards a multi-genre author. So when I look for general information, I want a general book, and then I want specific books for specific genres.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. It does make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I, as somebody who doesn't write mystery, just reads it, I found things I could use in it for everything. Yeah, I agree with CJ. Everything in here you could find different places. But I feel like she took all of those other books and bubbled down the grit of what makes a mystery a mystery. And I didn't want to go find 5 or 6 books since I don't write that genre. It was helpful. I honestly couldn't really think of anything that I didn't like about it.
There was some things that I already knew, and there were some things that I've already read before. So, but that's like, I feel like at this point, I'm going to be hard pressed to find something that is totally new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just going to be, it's going to be a hard task. I've been reading and researching and looking at this stuff for like a decade. So,
yeah.
But I really liked the stuff that I've already talked about, but also that resources list at the end, where Amber had mentioned we have read a lot of them for Writers Workshop, which that felt good. But also there were quite a few books that were specifically about mysteries that I haven't read before. So my little book hoarding heart was like, ooh, new things to buy. Well. Thank you, Cheryl. This sounds great. So I'm going to be updating my book catalog.
Yeah. I feel like definitely on the resources side, she opened up my eyes to stuff. Like I said, like the award submissions, I didn't know there was so many for indie authors. And then, you know, when she's talking about publishing 2.0, like I didn't know there was such a thing as Author AI or Book Candy Studios. So she gave me a couple different places to look for things I might need and compare them to what I've already seen. Right. So I liked that.
That's important.
Yeah.
Resources are important.
Yeah.
Especially if you can find things that you can use for free or for like a reasonable price.
Yeah.
Because most of us here are not independently wealthy. So.
Yeah. Well, and like when she says places to advertise,
we wish we were, but no.
Yeah, I was gonna say places to advertise your book. She like splits it up between if you don't have money and if you do have money. So that gives you things for now, and then when we do make it, like, so because I hadn't heard half of those.
Nice. So links in the description if you guys want to pick up a copy. I definitely recommend it. I feel like my cohorts here also recommend it. I didn't realize there was sites where you could promote your book for free. That's good for those just starting out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that. In my second book, I could have been doing that. So that'll definitely be something I start doing.
Isn't it like sometimes don't you feel like, I wish I could go back and redo that first one and like start from fresh with all the knowledge you have now?
A little bit, yeah.
But that's okay. We just start from here and we just move forward and continue to grow.
Move forward.
And get better.
Yeah.
So I feel very comfortable with the energy we created in the studio today. And we are at the top of the hour. So we should give our outros. So let's start with Amber this time.
All right. Yeah, I'm Amber Kraft. I write paranormal romance. You can find my Gods of Karina series on Amazon in paperback, ebook, and Book One Audible. So go and check those out. I stream every Sunday at noon on YouTube and Wednesday at 8 9 Eastern over on Twitch. So make sure you go and check that out. And season 2 for the podcast, the Afterthought, is coming. I've just got to get stuff situated. So it's a little later planned than start, but it will be coming soon. That's me.
And CJ?
My name is CJ Bloyer. I'm a writer of things. I think my link tree is down below. Yes? No? Maybe?
Yes.
My link tree is down below. All my links are there. You can catch me on Friday nights over on Sarah Sharnweber's channel with the Friday Night Madness. And also on the Twin Freaks podcast, where we are watching Twin Peaks and commenting. We have ourselves a damn good time. So
it is full of fuckery and foolishness.
It really is, but it is enjoyable. Especially go watch the show and then come listen to the podcast. So, yeah.
And that podcast includes myself and CJ, Data, and Sarah, and it was Sarah's brainchild, and it's been
indeed.
Really fun. It's like, it's just so nice to do something that's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fun, and it's silly. And every time you watch Twin Peaks, it always feels like something's new. Fucking owls. Anyway, so my name is Tamara Woods, and this is my channel where I talk about books and writing. Out there. And I also write some spicy stuff on the side. Let's see. What are the things I can tell you guys about? If you would like to be involved in Writers Workshop during the month, other than for our live streams, there's a Goodreads group. That link is in the description. I have a Patreon. So if you like the stuff that I do and you want to support me, you should absolutely join my cozy community. I am releasing a couple chapters a week, maybe more than that, of ongoing projects that I'm doing so that you guys could be more involved in my writing, because my Patreon is really helping. Like, that support means a lot in my heart, but also it's what I'm using to edit my books, to buy covers. So your support is wonderful in many different ways. So please join. I haven't launched my Discord yet, but that is coming soon. I had kind of a few bad brain moments this month, so I got a little sidetracked, but that's fine. Everything's fine. Also, if you would just like to donate enough for a cup of coffee, I have a Ko-fi that is in the description. That is really hard to say. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, right?
On Tuesdays, #Write Stuff happens over in the Twitter universe at 9 p.m. Eastern, where writers talk about writing. Each week we have a different topic. I have 2 friends who have volunteered to help me out, so I host and then they host, and it's a good time. It's a good time. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh yeah, I have a live stream every Thursday at 1 p.m. here on this channel. I was having a rough day this Thursday, so I had to cancel, but hopefully next Thursday will be all rainbows and butterflies. Let's see.
And puppy and kittens.
And puppy and kittens. Next month, we are doing, myself and a group of friends, we're going to be doing a 1-day workshop on August 14th about author branding. So we're going to be discussing different aspects of fixing up your author brand, how you do it, what should it look like, what does it entail, and that should be a good time. So we'll be giving out more information next week, but yeah, pencil us in. And that's that. I think that's more than enough. Thank you guys so much for being here, whether you're watching now or you're watching the replay. Without you, we're just a bunch of lunatics yelling in the breeze. And we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.